The following is a CUNY TV special presentation. The Association for a Better New York Breakfast welcomes James B. Milliken, Chancellor of the City University of New York.
Welcome. I'm Tony Marks. I'm the president of the New York Public Library, and it's wonderful to have you here in the Bartos Forum at the centerpiece of a system that is 93 buildings, the greatest public library system in the world. It's, of course, a pleasure to have ABNY in the house, and thanks to Jennifer and her great work, and Bill Rudin, who you're going to hear from in just a second, and their great work, partners and leaders and leaders in the partnership that is New York City. I also want to just say a word about our partnership with the City University of New York. It is America's greatest urban public university, serving over 250,000 students. And the New York Public Library could not be more proud to be library partners with CUNY. We take pride in the students at the great community colleges, at Queens and Brooklyn and all the colleges who come and use our facilities, our collections, our expert staff. We take pride in this building, for instance, in having space that we allocate specially to the amazing, talented faculty that comes from CUNY and comes here to do their research. We're delighted now to have the great community college right across the street that can call this library its home. New York is a place of an amazing diversity of talent. And CUNY, like the library, are committed to unleashing that talent, to feeding it with all the world's information and advice so that we can all benefit from the explosion of creativity that has been the hallmark of New York for over a century. It's really wonderful to have you all here in the house. When you're done, please, if you come back anytime, special because you joined us for breakfast, you can borrow any book for free. Seriously, you will not be alone. There are 40 million physical visits to the public library systems of New York every year, more than all the cultural institutions and all the professional sporting teams in New York combined. The life of the mind is alive and well in New York, and it is so in large part because of the great City University of New York. It's JB, it's great to have you in the house, partner, friend, long time. And now over to our great leader and MC, Bill Rudin.
Good morning, and thank you, Tony. It's really an honor to be in this incredible space and in this incredible institution. And thanks for your leadership, particularly in redefining what this library is about and its role across all the communities of our great city. You are at a critical point of access to information for millions of New Yorkers and visitors and the entire ABNY community. We thank you, and we look forward to working with you as you move this institution forward and with your incredible plans to redefine it. So thank you, Tony, and the entire library staff for helping us this morning. We all know that our city university system plays an important role in our city. And as we saw in Sunday's New York Times, our community colleges play an especially important role in educating the next generation of our workforce for our city. But as the article pointed out, they are woefully underfunded. And today, I'm excited to announce that the ABNY Foundation will grant a scholarship for CUNY's community college of $10,000. So, JB, you get to make a speech and walk away with a check. So, we wish you good luck, and I think that article really, hopefully, will help put a spotlight on those great community colleges and what they are going through, and hopefully be helpful in raising the bar in terms of fundraising. It is now my pleasure to introduce CUNY's new Chancellor and Distinguished Professor of Law, at the CUNY Law School, James B. Milliken, or as everybody calls him, JB. Prior to his appointment as CUNY Chancellor, JB was president of the University of Nebraska, as well as the College of Law and the School of Public Administration. He previously served as the Senior Vice President of the 16-campus University of North Carolina. Prior to his career in higher education, Chancellor Milliken attended NYU Law School as the Root Tilden Scholar and worked for the New York Legal Aid Society and in private practice. He's been a national leader in innovation and economic competitiveness and global engagement and online learning. Chancellor, we are excited to welcome you to New York and hear your vision for the CUNY system. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CUNY Chancellor James Milliken.
Welcome. What a great space. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate all that the generations of Rudens have done and continue to do for CUNY and for New York. And I'm most grateful to have the invitation to speak at the famous ABNY breakfast. On behalf of CUNY, I am especially grateful for that commitment of a scholarship for our most deserving students at our community colleges. It's especially meaningful for me to speak in this house. CUNY and the New York Public Library, as Tony said, are two of the most important institutions in this city. Today, I'm going to talk about one of those institutions. But first, I ran into somebody this morning who did not know that November is CUNY month, which means that you don't watch New York 1. So we're going to give you a chance to see it. So there are 4 screens, and it's supposed to be queuing up right now. I'm James Milliken, Chancellor of CUNY. November is CUNY month, a good time to learn about the high quality and affordable educational opportunities at CUNY. We have 24 campuses in all 5 boroughs, a world-class faculty, and more student award winners than ever, from associate degrees to PhDs, in one system, one city, one state. And 80% of our graduates leave with no debt. They chose CUNY. I hope you will too. Visit cuny.edu to learn about CUNY month events in November. Okay, I'm done. That's it. Actually not. So I have a lot to say today, and so next time we get together, I won't say quite as much. That's my promise to you. But today I have a lot I want to get off my mind. 167 years ago, CUNY opens its doors as the Free Academy in the site that is today where Baruch College sits. And at the opening of the Free Academy, Townsend Harris, the founder, said, "Let the children of the rich and poor take their seats together and know of no distinction save that of industry, good conduct, and intellect." That vision remains vital today. Over the first 100+ years of CUNY's founding, the Free Academy evolved into city colleges, and then other colleges were added across the 5 boroughs. In 1961, all of public higher education in New York City, graduate programs, senior colleges, community colleges were organized into CUNY. The list of notable alumni from those institutions, including 13 Nobel Prize winners, and as of today, 1 new Presidential Medal of Freedom winner, is far too long to review. But suffice it to say that many, many talented immigrant, first-generation, low-income New Yorkers got their start at CUNY, giving testament to its role, in the words of CUNY alumnus and Intel co-founder Andy Grove, that CUNY is the great American dream machine. So the record of the second half of the 20th century is more mixed, with some important, very important, positive movement made in access and diversity. But the consequences of an undifferentiated system of colleges, with remediation necessary at every campus, took its toll on CUNY's quality, its reputation, and its value to its students, the city, and the state. The last 15 years has been one of the great watershed periods in CUNY's history. Former Yale President Benno Schmidt wrote a report 15 years ago that prescribed a number of steps required for CUNY to rebuild its quality and reclaim its former glory. Then, as chair of the CUNY Board of Trustees, together with Chancellor Matthew Goldstein, an able group of trustees, which includes Vice Chair Barry, Trustees Foster, Loda, Shorter, Schwartz, and Martell. We almost have a quorum of the Board of Trustees here this morning. But I mention them, I introduce them not just because they're my boss, although that did cross my mind, but I recognize the board today because together with senior leadership at the university and a group of terrific college presidents, they led the difficult and sometimes controversial work of raising standards, of increasing quality, while at the same time developing strategies for student access, mobility, and success. And we have seen as a result a steady rise in CUNY's value and its reputation. So the outstanding accomplishments of this modern period include the creation of a new model of a community college, graduate schools of journalism and public health, a highly selective Macaulay's Honors College which competes with top colleges in the nation for students. Linda Macaulay, who with her husband Bill endowed the school, is here this morning with some very talented Macaulay students. I want to welcome students. Raise your hand. Are there any students here? Yes. And Dean Kirshner. This is the audience participation part of the talk. I'm going to recognize a few more people today. But with these achievements and more, put CUNY in the position it is in today, which is enviable. But a new day brings new challenges and new opportunities. The landscape of higher education is changing dramatically. At a time when educational attainment is universally recognized as the key to economic competitiveness globally, we're losing our lead. In the lifetimes of most of the people in this room, I would wager, we were first in the world in educational attainment. Now we're 14th in the demographic age 25 to 34. At the same time that everyone recognizes that college is more important than ever, there's a higher level of media scrutiny, more public skepticism about higher education than ever before. High costs of tuition are criticized, the amount of debt students incur is astounding, and quality and relevance is under question. CUNY, more than most, has a strong response to this. This year, CUNY has 274,000 matriculating students, a record, and 260,000 adult and continuing education students. Think of that impact. One university in one city with a student body larger than the population of, well, Omaha. 40% of these students were born outside the U.S. mainland. Our students hail from 205 countries and speak 190 languages. And if there is any institution doing something about income inequality, it's CUNY. 3/4 of our freshmen come from New York City high schools. And at a time when there's much attention to the value add of higher education, CUNY serves many students who otherwise would have little or no opportunity. 40% of our students come from families with a household income of under $20,000. CUNY has some of the lowest tuition levels in the nation, but even our rates would be way out of reach to many of our students, if not for federal, state, and local financial aid programs. Because of that, 65% of our full-time undergraduates pay zero tuition. And at a time when the nation's student loan burden tops $1 trillion, 80% of CUNY graduates leave with no debt from the federal student loan program. And 4 out of 5 CUNY graduates continue to live and work in New York, contributing to the economy, the tax base, the quality of life, and the stability of our state. So CUNY should make no apologies for the pursuit of quality over the last 15 years. The fundamental mission of public higher education is to provide both access and excellence. One without the other serves our students and society poorly. And let me make this clear, on all counts, CUNY is delivering on its promise far better than it did a generation ago. Innovative new programs such as ASAP, which can triple community college graduation rates. CUNY Start, which allows students with remediation needs to address them in a pre-matriculation boot camp without paying tuition and using up precious financial aid. These are national models. Now, over half of the undergraduates at our most selective senior colleges, such as Baruch, Hunter, Brooklyn, City, start as community college students, meet remediation requirements, and then transfer to a senior college. CUNY is providing a pathway that gives these students a meaningful opportunity to succeed. Take Layla Quinones, for example. She was a high school dropout who received her high school equivalency and then associate's degree at LaGuardia Community College. Then went on to NYU on an academic scholarship, and she is enrolling in a PhD program in physics there. Or Catherine Mateo, who arrived in the U.S. from the Dominican Republic speaking no English. She attended College Now, Lehman College, and the Macaulay Honors College. She graduated from Stanford Law School in June. She's back at Lehman now helping fellow students before she begins her career as a patent lawyer in January. I hear CUNY stories like this every day. And in my visits to 24 campuses this summer, I met many, many students like Layla and Catherine. So it's no surprise that the value proposition at CUNY is receiving national attention. In its annual rating of best values this fall, Washington Monthly Magazine named as the 3 best bangs for the buck in the nation Brooklyn, Baruch, and Queens colleges, number 1, 2, and 3. Further evidence of what a gem New York has in CUNY. So this is all terrific. I should probably just sit down. But given all this, the progress, 167 years, this last 15, the great assets today, are we where we need to be? I would say that despite all this, we have a lot left to do. Our goal should be for the university to achieve its full potential in serving the people of New York. So how do we build on this history, this success, these assets, so that CUNY is the world's leading urban university serving the world's leading city? The challenges are significant, but the payoff will be enormous. Among the challenges, there are still too many students who arrive not ready for college. We need to deepen our partnership with the New York City Schools, which provides 3/4 of our new freshmen. 80% of the students who enroll at our community colleges require remediation. We need to challenge our thinking about traditional remediation to most effectively serve students who arrive at our community colleges unprepared for college work. Also, nationally, far too many students do not earn their degrees within a reasonable time, and CUNY is no exception. At the most basic level, addressing students' remediation needs, providing an associate degree in a reasonable time that leads to a job, or moving senior college students towards a degree, we have much work to do. We have some great programs that I mentioned, but we have to address the challenges of scaling them effectively. But even if we do a better job of overcoming these basic challenges, what should be on CUNY's agenda for the next 10 years? First, CUNY should be the leader in preparing a new workforce for the 21st century. To do this, we have to increase the emphasis on STEM education. Both the governor with his scholarship program for STEM students and the mayor with his historic new investment in STEM programs at our community colleges are strong supporters of this goal. CUNY has a key role to play here, but the real work needs to start in the public schools, where students' decisions about pursuing science and math are most often made and essential preparation takes place. This calls for a new level of collaboration between schools, CUNY, government, labor, and the private sector. There's been some good news on this front in New York, such as P-TECH and similar programs, and we need to build on these. CUNY's developed critical pathways, as I mentioned before, from community colleges to senior colleges, giving tens of thousands of students a year a chance to continue their education, which is wonderful. But community colleges are more than an entry point for a 4-year degree. Nationally, community colleges are considered the most nimble and responsive of our institutions, working closely with business and labor to develop courses, programs, and certificates. Last month, I met with leaders in the tech sector in New York who are desperate for well-trained programmers, software developers, and gamers, many of whom can come directly from our community colleges with less time to degree, less cost, and a quicker path to earning a very good living. ABNY's own report on the New York City tech ecosystem makes it clear that there are growing numbers of jobs that do not require a 4-year degree. It's an attractive path and one that may be perfect for many CUNY students. CUNY has some exciting programs with private companies. But despite its location in an international hub of commerce with some of the most exciting businesses in the world, including a rapidly growing technology sector, the engagement of CUNY faculty and students with business falls far short of where it should be. We need more internship opportunities for our students that could lead to full-time jobs. We need more mentoring opportunities for students who are often the first in their families to attend college. We should provide interested faculty with more opportunities to work collaboratively with the private sector. We see much more of these public-private partnerships across the country, and in New York, which has such a rich commercial environment and has tools that many others don't have, such as Startup New York and New York 2020. We have to take full advantage of these assets. A related strategy involves our potential in research, particularly science and engineering, and in the development of technology. Opportunities in the 21st century include businesses that didn't exist in the 20th. And our faculty and students can be an integral part in the development of new knowledge, new technologies, new processes. We've made impressive investments over the last decade in science facilities with more to come, but we must double down on recruiting and retaining the best scientists and students to reap the full advantage of these investments. We're in a global competition for talent, and we simply must be competitive. We also need an institutional culture that supports, rewards, and nurtures faculty who are interested in commercially developing intellectual property. And we need an administrative structure that reduces, not increases, the friction in that development. While much of this new spirit of engagement is about developing knowledge and a skilled workforce for the new economy, there are other benefits to the city. CUNY should be a leader in research, education, and engagements that addresses grand challenges in a rapidly increasing urbanized global population, attracting leading urban university partners from around the world. Our STEM and other programs provide platforms for these key challenges, such as the built environment and sustainable energy, to public health and education. And our arts and humanities programs play a critical role in the culturally rich environment so important to New York's position in the world. And speaking of the world, in the 21st century, CUNY should become global CUNY. Every major university must be global in outlook and scope. And few universities are better positioned than CUNY. We have an enormous advantage, 40% born outside of the U.S. mainland. Students that speak almost 200 languages. But that alone isn't enough. Our recent success with the highly competitive Fulbright program demonstrates that our faculty and students can compete on the highest levels with their peers anywhere. Last year, CUNY set a record with 22 Fulbright student winners and 11 faculty Fulbrights. And I'm told that several of our student Fulbrights are here this morning. Where? Raise your hand. Yes, okay. I want CUNY's graduates to be competitive with the graduates of the best universities anywhere. And without an understanding of the world that comes in part from a strong academic component, they will not be. The task is for us to take advantage of CUNY's and New York's most valuable assets, our great diversity, and do what's always been in CUNY's DNA, to create the best value add for our students. Similarly, CUNY should be digital CUNY. In another of what I'm discovering are the paradoxes of CUNY, I'm told that one reason we haven't focused as much as some on technology and education is that who needs distance education when we have a college a subway stop away? But technology is contributing to the transformation of higher education in ways that have little to do with geographic distance. We're developing new technology tools, new classroom platforms, blended learning opportunities, and transforming the ways subjects are taught and learned. In Nebraska a few years ago, we learned that 70% of the students enrolled in our entirely online courses were matriculating and often living on our campuses, 70%. Despite the fact that courses can be delivered to students thousands of miles away, they're often delivered around the corner. And no matter how many locations we provide for our courses physically, it's hard to beat 24-hour asynchronous delivery of digital classes. And many students thrive and enjoy learning online. And our faculty should have every opportunity to be active in the digital era that is changing the environment for teaching and learning. I want our graduates to leave CUNY very comfortable with learning online so that when they have to retool or they decide to pursue another degree or certificate, which is becoming increasingly important, they can do it online and they can do it with CUNY. So how do we do all that we need to do when we know that government, from federal research agencies to states across the country, is having difficulty maintaining, let alone increasing, its investment in higher education? And despite the fact that New York has been more generous than many other states, CUNY cannot achieve its potential and adequately serve New York with only public funding and modest tuition. We are becoming less competitive for faculty, and there is no such thing as a university better than its faculty. Although I'm convinced that a continued strong public investment is essential and that the case is compelling, there can be no doubt that the economics of public higher education are changing. As recently as a generation or so ago, most public institutions were not aggressively or successfully raising large amounts of private support, and CUNY certainly was not. Potential donors viewed public institutions as obligations of the state and the city. But obligation or not, we know that's not enough. Private philanthropy has become increasingly important as a part of funding public university needs, capital, programmatic, faculty support, student scholarships, and it will only become more important. CUNY's had impressive growth. 15 years ago, we raised $40 million in a year. Last year, $240 million. It's positive development, but I don't believe there's an institution in New York that can make a more compelling case for private support. The great American dream machine that serves 500,000 students every year, the vast majority of whom live, work, contribute to the economy, the tax base, and quality of life in New York. There's no greater way to leverage a gift than to invest in CUNY. CUNY has a rich history. In recent years, it has become even better. The environment for public higher education is changing in ways that make CUNY more essential than ever. We have an ambitious agenda, which I hope you will support. If we're successful, the returns to our students and to New York will be tremendous. The most important city in the world should have the best public university in the world, educating its young and old, addressing the challenges that it faces, partnering in economic growth, contributing to the health of its people, enriching its cultural and civic life. The best city deserves the best public university. That's New York, and that's CUNY. Thank you. Is that the end?
I think so.
So, yeah, thank you. So I just want to say again, thank you all for being here. Those of you that don't employ me or don't work for me, I assume you're here because you care deeply about the city of New York and its future and what CUNY contributes to that. And you recognize that you get it. So I appreciate your support. As I said before, we have an ambitious agenda, and I look forward to partnering with you to achieve it. And please feel free to give me your advice as well as your support. Thank you very much.
JB, this is not a shy crowd, so you don't have to worry about us not giving you advice. Everyone have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you. Have a great holiday.